Recording. Cool.
Cool.
Sweet.
Which means all our participants are now coming to the room.
Yes. Cindy, you're a little echoey, just FYI. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Cindy, I'm gonna start talking. Oh yeah, that's okay. Is anybody else getting really bad feedback, or is it just me? Yeah, Cindy, I think that's really bad.
Is that from me?
Yeah, I think it's because your mic and speakers are close. I'm gonna try talking again. Okay, right now it's okay. Okay,
Right.
I don't know. It's vanished, so let's hope that it stays that way.
Maybe I should leave my phone far away from me.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna wait a tiny bit more because there's more people coming in, and I have a couple announcements before I vanish because my computer is having major issues today.
So we've got 21 participants.
Yeah, usually we get much more than that, right? We get like 50 at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots.
We'll wait.
So what's joined me today as a panelist? It's a panelist from the participants. So please indicate who wants to join, and Magda will upload you.
Actually, you don't have to, Cindy, because you're the host. So as soon as someone says that they want to, then you can click or mouse over their name, and there should be an option for you to add them to panel.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I don't want to delay things for you guys, so I'm just gonna make a couple announcements, and then Cindy, in case I don't come back, if you could repeat those at the end. There's a few interesting things happening, especially for those of you who are in India. So I've sent out a couple emails about this, but we have a discount code for the APAC conference that's happening in Mumbai on August 23rd, 25th, I think. It's in the email, but long story short, any Coacharya community members have a 15% off discount with code that's in the email. I believe it's Coacharya JUN 2019. That discount is good until the end of the month. So if you're interested in attending that conference, please follow the steps in the email to get your discount. Ram will be speaking on the second day of the conference, and also we'll be having a bit of a dinner in Mumbai. So if any of you already registered for the conference or will be, please ping Ram as well and let him know that you might want to meet up. He will be happy to see any of you who are there. So that's one thing. Second thing, we actually got a really big discount from the WBEX conference, WBECS. I think they say WBEX. It's a huge online conference that takes place over many weeks. It's similar to our colloquiums, but much more professionally produced because, you know, they're huge. Long story short, tickets are quite expensive, but we've managed to, if we get 15 people from Coacharya community to register, our price is $297 for the full summit instead of like $900. So it's humongous discount. I'll be sending out an email about that today, but in case someone wants to jump the gun, the code, discount code is Coacharya. So that's the WBEX conference, and the price for us is $297, which is huge. And then last but not least, anyone else who's seen one of the speakers we've had, Trace, he did some really cool stuff on a couple colloquiums in the past couple months. Trace is joining Ram at the APAC conference. So he's flying in from Canada to Mumbai, but he's coming in a bit early. So I'll be sending an email on that too, but Trace will be doing a 2-day program in Bangalore. It'll be focused on systemic coaching, and the target, I mean, anyone can join obviously, but the target audience is agile coaches, agile managers, and line managers from whatever industry, but specifically tech. So if any of you work in that space or you have colleagues in that space, it could be a really cool, well, it will be a really cool session. It'll be a 2-day event over the weekend, August 16th and 17th in Bangalore. So yeah, anybody who works in Agile will be welcome. And I'll be sending that email out later today as well with details. So anyway, in case you do miss it, just email me, Magda@Coacharya, and I'll make sure that I reply to you as well with the details for how to register. So space is limited. But yeah, if you've seen Trace on the webinars, you know it's going to be a really cool session. So that is that. Okay, Cindy, you go do your thing. I will try to come back if my stupid computer decides to work.
But just stay there for 1 more minute until I promote one more person as panelist, and I think I'm doing a good job here so far.
Right. I can sing for you
promote. Guys. Okay. That was only one line. We can do more.
Right. It's there the final countdown.
Right. So.
Okay, now I'm.
There we go. Okay.
See you hopefully when my computer restarts.
I think I've did a fairly good job. I'd like to pick somebody randomly and invite them to the panel. There we go. I'll do it.
Okay. All right. See you soon.
Hi Pradeep, hi Vijay, Mohan, and Kumar. Lovely having you all as panelists. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Learner webinar, July Learner webinar. And core competencies in discussion today is CC3, Trust and Intimacy, CC4, Coaching Presence, CC5, Active Listening, CC6, Powerful Questioning, and CC7, Direct Communication. And the sub-headings under which these competencies fall, as you would know, is more about building a relationship, how we communicate, through direct communication and coaching presence. So today, it sounds like a lot of core competencies. It's actually not, because it's all about how we listen and respond to the client. Meaning, what are we listening for and how are we responding to the client? Listening and responding, listening and responding. So to all the participants, anybody else wants to be panelists, let me know. Vijay, can I ask you to manage the chat, please?
Yeah, sure, Cindy.
To field questions from the chat, and you can, of course, just raise it to my attention and raise the questions. Thank you. So let's start, right? And let's start by diving into the deep end. I'm going to put a piece of a conversation from a transcript onto my screen, and I'm going to ask you to respond. And after you respond, we will then have a discussion. There's some background feed. It's not coming out of my... Okay, it's gone now. Okay, we manage the noise, right? Charles, there's no more noise. Yeah, so I'm going to share screen and put a piece of a conversation, and I'll tell you what to do next. Oops. Can you see what's on the screen? You can, right? So look at my screen. This is a piece of a conversation from a script. Bearing in mind what we are talking about today, I will listen and respond to the client. I will listen includes what are we listening for, what are we picking up. So how do we listen and respond? So on my screen is a piece of a conversation, and I'd like you to respond. Now, please note that no answer is a wrong answer, but give it a go. What are you listening for, and how are you responding? Type your responses onto the chat. You can hear me? Vijay?
Yeah, I'm there. So
Okay.
there's one response that has come from Gangapriya, and so her answer is visualization of what confidence looks like for the coachee.
Okay, what else? Come, there's no right and wrong answer, so take your time and respond.
Priya says she will listen to beliefs, values, motivation for coachee. And Vinita says, what does confidence mean to you?
Yeah?
Komal says, again, something about core belief and keywords.
Yeah? What does that word mean? How do you feel when you say you feel confident? Okay, what else?
There's an interesting response from Drevan, acknowledgement from her side for Kino, and also a little bit of self-doubt. And Pradeep adds on, what does self-worth mean to you? There are a couple more from Anya and Vinita about, I think, understanding the essence of confidence. How do you feel when you say confidence, or what does confidence mean to the client?
Okay, so let's have a discussion on this point, right? Vijay, what's showing up for you if you were to respond?
Uh, this one from the transcript, honestly, I'm not able to get a sense of her, emotion minus the tonality. So I probably, want to know a little bit more. So I will just facilitate her to expand a bit, maybe on confidence, maybe on, self-belief. I'll just listen more. I just want to know more because right now I am feeling a little unclear.
Okay. Mohan, so this was a piece of a conversation that was just in front of you. What would you want to reply on? What would you, yeah, go for it, Mohan.
Okay, so what stood out for me in this is, and thank you for breaking this up into 3 pieces. It's the last one when, the coachee says, you'll only be valued as much as you value yourself. So that seems to be a kind of a crystallized learning for her from, from the previous things. So that is something which would need to be acknowledged, or, if I were the coach, then I would probably respond to that statement and acknowledge that is something which appears to have settled on the coachee's shoulders, so to speak.
Thank you, Mohan. Pradeep, you want to have a go?
Yes, indeed. Thank you. What I get from the conversation transcript is that as she is seeing someone else do what she wants to do, and she gains a lot of inspiration, her true sense of comes into question. That's what I seem to be getting out of this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of you, what you're picking up on the chat and our panelists are saying things that you are picking up that's really important to the client. And nobody's wrong in what they are saying because they're picking it up from what client is saying. So you're listening, you're actively listening and paying attention to things that the client is saying. And this conversation, I picked it up purposefully because there's so many dimensions to it. There's so many little pieces showing up here, right? Which makes it a complex conversation. And of course, when our clients talk, they don't talk in one sentence at a time. They talk in this way. They talk quite complex. So they want to just share quite a few things at one time. And as coaches, we sometimes begin to struggle as to what we're listening for and picking up and how we respond to clients. And before I say more, Kamal, did you want to say something? Kamal, we can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Give me 1 second. Hello?
Okay, now we can. We can.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
So one thing which really stands out to me while reading this is that now that we are reading it as a transcript, we are observing certain things which we may not observe while listening. Because certainly that time we are in the moment. So how much we listen or what are the things that we focus. So if I just read it like I'm listening it, so certain words stand out to me, like the word inspiration stands out, the word confidence stands out. And then the last line where it said that you'll only be valued as much as you value yourself. So this is some core belief that the client is holding. What this entire dialogue also explains to me is how the client is processing this information within his or her own mind,
Yeah.
Because is talking about inspiration, and then the confidence is really posed as a question, like, could it be confidence? So, the client is still trying to make a sense of the whole thing and hasn't reached a conclusion towards confidence, basically. So it's still something which is getting processed right now. So this whole dialogue kind of also explains a little bit about what is going on inside the mind of the client. Like at some level, they're getting inspired.
Absolutely.
And then that is putting them into an internalized thought process as to like, oh, wow, you know, I'm getting inspired. So how does that person does it? Is it their confidence? Is it what confidence is? You know, the person is like thinking about, and then also analyzing that maybe the other person value themselves quite a lot, and that's why they're able to exude the confidence. So they're kind of creating a structure around how they're trying to understand somebody's mind, and then how they're expressing it in their own words.
So beautifully put, Kamal. It's like you've unpacked so much here.
Thank you, Cindy.
And you're right, there's an internal noticing. The client is noticing now somebody does something and relates it to confidence, and perhaps a reflective question on could that be confidence, and linking it to something more deeper about the values. You know, you'd only be valued as much as you value yourself. So it's like an external noticing, an internal reflection process going on. Client itself is just going deep.
Yes.
Of course, it's for a coach going to be quite difficult on which part to pick up, but I have a feeling any part here that the coach picks up on, whether it's the confidence, the reflective questioning, or you can just feed back to the client what you are noticing, what they're going through. There's this external process of something they picked up, something is from Kino, and the level of confidence that comes with it, and a reflective part on questioning the confidence and relating it to an internal value. Well, again, a reflective questioning. And you know, what's going on with client as they're processing that. So any part you could have picked up would have the inspiring part, the confidence part, or the value part, would have got the client talking, still in an internal reflective space, because it seems like the client was coming through some kind of awareness, right? Any other opinions or any other thoughts you want to share, coaches?
I just wanted to add on something to what Komal said.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking. I'm not sure whether it's taking things at a tangent, but I just want to bring that up. So, Komal, you did mention saying that, you know, if this was, since this is a script, it was, you know, less challenging to pick up these nuances. So that made me wonder, what makes pure listening and not sort of reading from a script actually challenging? What's the challenge in picking up the same nuances? Personally, for me, listening is always a lot more easier and holistic, and you know, easy to pick the emotions than the script.
You want me to answer that, Cindy?
Yeah, if you want to comment,
Okay.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
And coaches, please, the conversation is open to all of you. So if you want to type your responses on the chat, go ahead.
So,
to what Vijay is saying, you can also respond. Sorry, Kumar.
No problem. So I think personally, why I said that is probably because of two reasons. One, I think everybody's learning process works quite differently. So some people, like you said, that it would work better for you when you're listening, you're more attentive or you're more there. So what sort of person a coach is would also impact in a great way. So if somebody is a little more visual and less auditory, so then listening would not be that effective. So you really need to put in that kind of an effort. And second thing, which I think, like right now we are sitting here, we are in a webinar situation, but when we are with the client, what sort of a mindset are we, how present we are actually. And if there is some mind chatter, or what is the objective that in that moment. So what is it that is there in a coach's mind would eventually impact quite a lot. So if we are in a mindset to really help, make the client reach a solution, or we are really thinking about, okay, what am I supposed to ask next, so those kind of filters can always impact, how much we observe or notice, or how much actually we are present in that given moment. So I think that was my reason to say that. Yeah.
That's okay, Kamal. And there's many coaching initiatives currently include both text-based coaching and voice coaching, face-to-face or Zoom, but voice, listening to the client, and text-based. So it's a combination. So even on text, if the client types something to you, right, as a response, you still will be able to coach on that.
Yes.
And, there's a few lovely new apps coming out with coaching. And I work for a consultancy in Europe that does both text-based, email, platform-style coaching, and face-to-face or voice. So this could have just been a client typing something to you too, and you still got a response. So I hear what Vijay is saying. Listening to a client, you pick up far more different dynamics, tones, expression, and you can see body language, and you can notice body language, you can notice emotions, and sometimes in text you can't see that, but eventually you get used to it and you see what's beneath the words.
Cindy, I just wanted to add.
Go ahead.
So off late in one of my assignments, there is a lot of WhatsApp conversations that happen between two sessions.
That's right.
As a natural part of the dialogue that's happening. So it spills over into WhatsApp as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and when that happens, it sets you thinking, and people are just as open with, at least my client is just as open with sharing in their own words, of course, with their own limitations of language, sharing what they truly feel on text messages also. So, and it therefore forces you to respond and think about how you're going to respond to that in a way that progresses the journey for that person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Many clients now are working with the coaches in a different kind of way than from the old traditional approach, meaning in between sessions, there are conversations continuing on email and WhatsApp. So coaches, let's look a little bit at the core competency. Well, let's spend a little more time looking at it, and we'll go back to another piece of text. And please raise questions as we go along. Vijay will keep an eye on your questions. So raise questions or discussion points as we go through the core competency.
Cindy, I have a question which is not on a core competency per se, but it's about listening all the same. And it's about the mechanics of listening. So this is probably a very base level question. I'm so sorry, that's my dog. I'll ask that question later, Cindy, when this guy, he quietens down.
Yeah, it requires you to actively listen to him, I think. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But my question, while I still have time, is what are the actual mechanics of listening? And here, what I'm trying to do is trying to find a distinction between is listening about focus, that is concentration, or is listening about awareness, which is, how do I describe awareness? It's an expanding thing. It's not a narrowing down or an exclusion. Focus suggests exclusion. So I'm trying to draw this distinction somehow, and understand the mechanics thing just for me to practice.
Absolutely. Because it's not just your ears, right? Listening is not just your ears. There's so much more.
It's about collect the sound, but there is a lens inside the mind, brain, whatever, which can focus that thing, and which decides what is it we register.
So
right?
I'm going to leave that as a rhetorical question, because I think as we explore the core competencies, the answers is going to emerge. And if they don't, we'll pick it up again.
Thanks.
So Vijay, you'll alert me if there's anything on the chat, okay, please? So core competency 4, coaching presence. Now, coaches, I'm sure you've all seen, this is from the PCC markers, and I'm sure you all have seen this and looked at these words repeatedly now, and some of you may be even saying, oh no, not again. But let's look at it today with different eyes, or a new set of eyes, so we create a bit more awareness for ourselves. And by the way, no matter how many times I look at it, I don't get tired of it. Because I look at it now with either a new coach, or with new client, or with new awareness and new insights around what the client is saying.
Cindy.
Is it just me, or Cindy has just gone offline?
I think Cindy's gone offline.
Yeah, we are not able to see. The screen froze and then it went.
Okay, let me just try to reach out to her and just check in what happened. Just give me a moment.
Sure.
Folks, I'm not able to reach Cindy. So I'm just wondering whether we should get this session going.
I think we should, Vijay. And
let's wait for some time. Yeah.
Cindy will join when she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vijay, why don't you lead us forward on this?
Okay, I'm just going to give this a shot because I don't know what Cindy's learning agenda was. Okay, now looking at coaching presence, one of the things that I've always felt very strongly about this particular core competency is the whole element of partnership. So I actually want to throw it open to everyone here very intuitively, and let's not sort of look at the markers, but very intuitively, what are the elements of partnership for you when you go into a client session? When you walk into a coaching session, how do you actually demonstrate and build coaching partnership? You can just type into the chat, and maybe once we get a few responses, the panelists can also answer. So Mindy says trust and honesty. Anya says doing it by feeling and energetically connecting. Gangapriya says journey together. Okay, Priya brings in the dimension of the client. She says driven by client's agenda, connection, and listening. It's all about the coach, how much space and support he gives the client. I'd like to flip this around a little bit. If you were the client who went into the session or who signed up with a coach, how do you expect partnership to manifest itself? What do you seek for in a partner and in every session? Presence?
I think that's a very interesting question. Very, very interesting way of looking at this whole dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
So if I would be a client, I think how I would feel that somebody is present with me is that one, I'm being listened to, and then how I would know is that if the person knows exactly where to respond to me, where to sound back to me what I'm saying, because sometimes as a client, when I'm in the flow, I'm talking, I may just not realize exactly what I'm saying and what I'm trying to say probably. So being absolutely present in that moment and sounding it back to me, helping me make sense of what I'm wanting to say, I think that kind of highlights as a client to me that the coach is present with me.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Komal. And before we move on, Cindy, I have been made to take your place to lead this. So just to bring you context you on this, you know, I was just trying to have a discussion around what actually partnership means, because partnership is a very core element of coaching presence. And I was inviting everyone to look at it wearing a client's hat, saying, what is it that you seek from a coach partner in the coaching engagement and in every session? What would you want from that partnership? And Komal just gave her response. And I also just read a beautiful response from Draven, who says to be in a dance with me and not step on me when I don't want it to be that way. And also to reach out to me when I need that person to do that. So quite demanding, I would say, as a client, but that's a tall ask.
Absolutely. So let's dive right back in. I apologize for losing my connection. So I was saying to you, the first 4 markers show up differently or slightly different because it's what the coach is noticing. It's from the coach, right? What is coach curious about? What is coach noticing? What is coach observant about and responding to? And the next 4 markers appears in the word you were all just using, partnership. So how does coach partner with client? Because you will see the next 4 markers, the start words is exactly that. Coach partners with client. Coach partners with client. So there's something very good here about coaching presence, right? Because it makes reference to us as coaches, how we are showing up. And in that way that we are showing up now, how are we partnering with this client? It's beautifully worded, right? So let's look at it. Let's look at some key elements of it. As you can see, I highlighted some I darken some words that really stand out. Look at the first one. The coach acts in response to both now. The coach is acting in response to two things here. The whole person of the client, who the client is, the whole person of the client, right? This person sitting in front of you, and what the client wants to accomplish in the session. Isn't that good? Easy to understand, right? The coach is responding to the person in front of them and to what the client wants from the session. So you're not only responding to what you're noticing in the client, like clients clapping their hand, or want to punch, or really angry. It's not just that. It's responding with that in mind to what does this client want from the session. As we all spoke a lot about last month, CC2. What does the client want in the session, the goal, how the client is making progress to the goal, and in the same way, paying full attention, being fully present to responding to this whole person of the client. So what does this whole person mean? It means the different layers showing up in the client, the words, emotions, body language, tones, pace, energy. So you're paying attention to all that, not just the spoken word, but to much more, and in context of what the client wants from the session. And the next four is quite easy. The coach is observant, shows empathy, responds to the client. Coach notices, explores energy shifts. Coach is curious with an intent to learn more. Not inquisitive about what you cooked last night, but curious about how did you do it? Or curious about what's more showing up in a learning space for the client. And the partnering now goes a little bit more. So the coach partners with the client by supporting the client to choose what happens in the session in very simple ways. When client arrives, you ask client, what is it you'd like to focus on in today's session? How do you know the session is successful for you? And you explore that conversation. When client has a lot of options, you play it back to client and ask the client, which ones do you want to work with? Do you want to work with all or choose a few in the next few days? So it's coach partnering the client, supporting the client by helping this client choose what happens in the session. Coach partners with the client by inviting the client to respond in any way to coach's contributions and accepts the client's response. It's those times when you check something in, like you check to the client, I heard some emotions come out of you and I get a feeling that you were really angry. And client says, no, I'm not angry. I'm just feeling a bit frustrated though. And coach doesn't start arguing with client, no, I picked up anger. Coach accepts the client's response. Coach partners with client by playing back clients express possibilities for client to choose from. That's quite easy to understand. It's like when client comes up with options, then you help the client to choose. Coach partners with client by encouraging the client to formulate his or her own learning. So a good example here, but I'll give you a silly example first. So you don't tell the client, I feel that your learning today is your confidence. Instead, you would ask the client, what are you learning about yourself as you're going through the session, or what learnings are showing up for you? So let the client formulate their own learning. So it's a process of asking versus telling. So we just have a look at some words on active listening. I'm aware of the time and we still would like to have more discussion. So we'll just pick up a few things here and we can pick it up in next month when we're talking about core competency 8 to 11, the back end of the markers. So
Cindy, I
this-
just wanted to add one. Sorry.
Go, Vijay. Yeah.
No, just one little bit that I wanted to say. In coaching presence, it's just so beautiful, especially in the, you know, the 5 to 8 markers there. How wonderfully it ties in with CC2 and CC 9, 10, 11. And when those are done well, it automatically shows up as coaching presence. So that's just a thought that I'm leaving, leaving everyone with. But it'd be interesting to just look at how the back and forth of those markers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And Cindy, with your permission.
Yeah, go for it.
The way you explained point number 1, especially the piece about what the client wants to accomplish in the session, I think this is what keeps the session moving forward. This focus on this response to what the client wants to accomplish. If it were only responding to the whole person, we could very well also be sitting in a therapy room.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. But I think I was a bit ambitious when I thought we could discuss all these core competencies together. So can I pull back on that now? We'll give it more time. I'm not going to rush with it. So I'll just take my own learnings here. I thought we would just do this all in one go, listening and responding. But I'll pull it back. We have enough time in Learner webinars to discuss it. So there's no rush. Let's come back to coaching presence, because there's a few more things I also like to say about it. But Mohan, you go first. No,
it's just a session I think I had yesterday or day before, where I actually experienced this in connection with what the client wanted to, take away in that session. He brought in his own mind, he brought in something from somewhere, and it didn't seem connected in some way. So I asked him the straight question. And then that question was helped him establish in his own mind too, articulate the link between the two in the client's own mind. And for me, it was just a pure cognitive response. Hey, this doesn't make sense, very good. Hey, well, how are they connected? And I asked him the direct question. And for some time, it looked like he was fabricating it. He was winging it. He was doing it on the fly. But then at some point, my articulation became clearer. So that's all I wanted to share.
That's a lovely point. Because if you're listening and the client, you kind of get a sense the client is going a bit off track or now really sharing something else. It's beautiful to ask, what is the relationship of the off-track part to what the client wanted from the session? So it's lovely presence to notice where the client is going off track and pulling it back in by asking, so what is the relationship of that to what you wanted from the session? You can say the words of the goal. And you'll be surprised, as Mohan said, what answer the client may come up with.
But, Cindy, so much of what we listen to is connected or is influenced by what is in our background as, over the recent experience. The fact that I noticed this point was because yesterday I had that session, to put it mildly.
So now you're making link to the marker.
Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so here it is appearing in the marker. It becomes more embedded. Coaches, anything you're noticing from your sessions that's showing up as we're talking about the markers on coaching presence.
Cindy, can I add in something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So the first time I read this marker, I thought this is a point unto itself, and a number of pages can be written on this, because it's a very layered question. Because when we are saying the both being in bold and underlined, that's a lot of emphasis in itself. So I got a very different, it evoked a very different response and a sense of awareness in me, where the first set of awareness is looking at the whole person, from what you rightly said, as the tone of the conversation, the body language, the usage of words, etc. So that's something that builds the whole person. The second layer of that is, how is the person relating to things from the past, or to be happening in the present and the future, or what's happening in the present and the future, to what is the problem that is being tackled in the session, or which needs to be addressed in the session, and then getting a whole view out of it. And what jumped for me as a big thing, which came out loud and clear for me, is that the coaching presence for the coach is not just in the session alone, but even before and after the session, and always when you are in touch with your client. And as we rightly today are using most of internet technologies and electronic media to connect, it could be the Zoom session, it could be text messages that we are sending, the WhatsApp messages we are sending. All of this works towards building up that whole person. So the coaching presence, I guess, for the coach, and which is challenging but very interesting, goes beyond the session also. So it could start from the time the client knocks your door and the session starts, to beyond that.
Absolutely, because reflecting and learning seems to be ongoing, right?
Yeah.
And it could also change, because today you may go, wow, I didn't realize that. And the more you think about it or reflect on it, in a week's time, you go, wow, and I didn't realize that existed in linking to the first insight.
I actually wanted to,
lovely. Go Vijay.
yeah, share, I want to share a bit of caution on this competency. So I think this presence is actually, I think I've heard Ram say it once in a different context, but I don't know why it came up for me right now. It is presence, but by actually being absent. So let me just elaborate on that, right? So for example, I often see that happening, in 4.3, which is about noticing and exploring energy shifts, or just the curiosity, right? Sometimes coaches go into a session and the focus is to notice. The focus is to explore the shift. So you're actually sort of looking out for the shifts. You're looking out for, that aha, some kind of a change, some kind of body language. And then you'll end up missing the real flow and the real beautiful expression that comes. And so sometimes the coach would be there saying, I actually noticed a dip in your energy. And the client would be like, what? Not really. Right? So that happens because of trying too hard. So the only caution I have always felt about this competency is, the more you try, the less it shows up. So I think it's about going in with that awareness that you respond, to the dance or to the music as it happens. So it's a bit of risk-taking. It's a bit of on the spur, going completely with the flow. But I think that's how it's meant to be.
Absolutely. Anything on the chat? Vijay? I can't see the chat right now. And it's Vijay, can I tell a story? The one with you and me and the well. Vijay?
I think we have lost Vijay. Have we?
No, she's there, but she's on mute. Vijay, are you on mute? Or she's not
No,
there?
I was laughing my heart out, and I wanted to tell you that was a CC8 story, but go ahead.
Okay, so this core competency on coaching presence is a learning, it's an ongoing learning process. And even the best of us sometimes can get it wrong or get it, we can have stumbles around it. I won't say get it wrong, but we can stumble, right? And stumbling means you forgot what the client was saying because you're busy exploring in your own mind about, what's the next best question, or something got in the way, or you just remember you had to make a phone call or something like that. We stumble along this core competency. And it's quite normal to do that. If most of the time in a session you can be present, you're masterful enough. So I'll tell you this little story that happened in a coaching session with Vijay as a coach, and I was playing client. I was being client, not playing, being client. And it was a lovely coaching session. And if you're coaching me, I go deep immediately. There's no holding me back on staying on a surface space. So we had established what I wanted from the session and my measures of success. And my measures were very clear. I was in a space where it had slowly crept up on me, the issue. And after 3 weeks, I was tired of it and quite fed up. And my measure of success was to see me take at least one step out of it. I wanted some way out, one step out. And while Vijay was listening to my story, this empathy thing got a bit, I'll partner with you, hold your arm, and stay right there with you consistently. And after the session, so in my role now as the mentor, gave us some feedback. It was a beautiful session, really well done. And I said, Vijay, considering what I wanted from the session, I felt like I was sitting in a well and you jumped down, put your arm around me and sat right next to me. And what I would have liked is you extending a rope so I could have taken one step out. So as I say, it's a bit of a tricky thing because sometimes you don't know where to keep your presence. Is your presence on the whole person of the client or just being there with the person? Or on what does the client want to accomplish in the session? What does the client want, right? Or is it both? And sometimes it's difficult to manage both. And the progressive learning and skill development will be going to the place where you can manage both. It's the importance of managing progress and accountability in a session, especially progress. Progress is always linked to measures of success, what the client says. So if the client says, I want to take a step out, then coach holds that space for client. Any questions from you? Vijay, you want to add to that?
No, just took me back to that session, and you're absolutely right. At that point of time, it was quite overwhelming towards the close of the session, maybe around 40-45 minutes, because I think you've articulated it really well. That the challenge was how much to be with Cindy the person and Cindy the client who wanted something very specific out of the session. I think every session we traverse that. And one of the learnings for me was to actually say, when in doubt, just check with the client, be vulnerable, and just sort of say, I'm just getting too overwhelmed by this, or I'm feeling you too much. What do we do now? Or something like that. And that has always worked. You know, it's hard to do that because you're kind of saying that, oh, you know, I don't know where to go. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling more emotion than you probably are, right? Because I'm listening to it for the first time. Sometimes it's best to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's always a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. It is always a challenge. Yeah, as I said, that happens to all of us. We don't know. We sense emotion in a client and we immediately is drawn to that direction, right? How to be there fully with the client. So that first marker on coaching presence, I think it's beautifully written, and there's a reason why it's right there, number one. So coaches, we're almost at the end of our time. We've already discussed core competency 4. Okay, so next month in the Learner webinar, we look at listening and questioning together. And then, of course, go into creating awareness, where we'll do some work on what happens in the moment of awareness. How do you coach around it?
I was just wondering, Cindy, to close, you know, it'd be, I think, appropriate to just check, you know, quickly how everyone's feeling after this conversation on coaching presence. If you could just type in the chat box.
Well, that would be beautiful. Thank you, Viji. Coaches, can you type into the chat box? What's standing out for you? Or how are you feeling? What's in your presence at the moment? Have a go.
Interesting. Need to reflect on this and which directions I tend toward.
Lovely.
Great examples, insights.
Coaches, don't go. I still have to give you the code, password, which is Firefly. Firefly.
Thanks, Deepa. Thanks, Anita. It's a great learning to balance the both part. Fascinated, Firefly. Thank you, Cindy. Coaching presence has dimensions that were highlighted in the example. Coaches cannot afford to forget their own reference point.
When we do active listening, we'll highlight more points, some real standouts.
So Anita is feeling very proud today.
Who's in Kumar? Is it you? You are laughing, so it must be you.
Yes.
No, Mohan also.
Mohan also.
I didn't laugh.
Also you.
And Pradeep.
Oh,
so I'm the odd one out.
You know, I just uploaded him. So coaches, any one of you want to join me next week into the panel, please feel free to do so at the start of the call. I'll just upload you, or you can send me an email. So you all know what's the password? Firefly.
Firefly.
Thank you to the panelists. It was lovely partnering with you in coaching presence. Thanks, Viji, for being a part of the panelists and fielding all the calls on the chat or the messages on the chat. And thank you, everyone, for being such wonderful participants. See you all next month on the Learner webinar.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can save the chat if you want. Just click on that thing at the bottom and save chat.